Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Guest, and welcome to the Imagine Golf podcast. This podcast is dedicated to help you get the thing and the game that you've always imagined. Today's episode is brought to you by Imagine Golf and PXG. You can go to our site, imaginegolf.com, to see all of our offerings, including our free drills, our practice plans, our golf ebooks and videos, and soon to be our new golf book coming out. Or to book a lesson with me at our state-of-the-art studio right outside of Philadelphia, or virtually through our partner, thegolfliveapp.com, from anywhere in the world. We now do lessons in over 7 different countries. And you can sign up for our free tips and videos that go out once a week, every week, by simply dropping us your email. Well, look, we're going a little bit off script, if you would, today, in the sense that we're not going to be talking about how to get better at golf. We're just going to be talking about golf in general because, look, I can't take it anymore, right? The LPGA, right, made an announcement. Well, first of all, they got rid of their the head of the LPGA, right? That's a whole I could do a whole podcast on that, right? But they came out and they announced that its players must be female at birth, which is great, right? They must be female at birth, right? So no men can compete against women. Well, sort of, because there's or transitioned before puberty. And I think for me, that's where why can't you just say, look, the LPGA is only for women, against biological women against biological women. Why do you have to you're going to go so far to make a rule, right? Or you're going to address the topic that obviously needed to be addressed. There is no doubt about that. But you address it, you make a rule, you go public with the rule and your players, right? And you throw in or transition before puberty, right? I got to tell you, I couldn't take it anymore. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. This policy will go into effect in 2025, right? It's pretty basic, right? Players must be assigned. I'm going to read it to you, right? Players must be assigned female at birth, right? Assigned female at birth, or transition to female before going through male puberty to compete in LPGA tournaments or the 8 USG championships for female under new gender policies that are published Wednesday, which was today. So they did a study, right? I don't even know why I'm laughing because it's just the common sense is just out the window anymore, right? I'm starting just when I start to think common sense is coming back, it's back out the window again. But look, the LPGA did a study rumored to have cost over $10 million that lasted an entire year. And the study involved medicine, science, sports psychology, and gender law policy, right? 10 million. Right? I mean, people are getting rich on this stupid topic, in my opinion, right? But the updated policies, for sure, it's funny, it's going to have some ripple effect. It shouldn't, but it's going to, right? There's this one golfer, Haley Davidson, who missed qualifying for the U.S. Women's Open this year by just one shot. And luckily, I say this in tongue in cheek, but really not, came up short in the LPGA Q school. So meaning she couldn't get their LPGA card, right? This Davidson, who is 32, right, 32 years old, began hormone therapy or treatment in like 2015 when she was in their 20s, right? And in 2021, underwent gender-affirming surgery, which was, and I'm doing air quotes, which was required under the LPGA's previous gender policy. Can you imagine? We even have a gender-affirming policy, right, to play golf. It just, again, the common sense of it is freaking nuts, right? She actually won a couple times on a mini tours, right? And has, has come out and with guns a-blazing, right? I'm almost, again, I'm chuckling, but it's not a funny subject, right? But here's the quote that Davidson had, right? Can't say I didn't see this coming, Davidson wrote on Wednesday. Banned from the EBSINT and the LPGA, all the silence and people wanting to stay neutral. Thanks for absolutely nothing. This happened because all of your silence, unquote. Right? By the way, I don't know a lot of people that want to stay neutral on this topic. I think just the opposite, right? I would say about a resounding 90-some% of my circle and students don't want to be neutral on this topic, right? They don't want men playing women's sports. They don't want boys playing women's sports, right? So I think it's just absolutely crazy. I think the LPGA tried to do something good, but then muddied the waters just enough that it's going to bring controversy, right? How about this? You're born biologically a woman, you can play. You're born biologically a man, you can't play. And I'll only charge you $1 million for that. That consultant opinion, if you would, $1 million. It's a bargain. That's 90% off of what the LPGA just paid, right? And there it is. And by the way, that opinion wouldn't be met with any controversy, right? There'd be a lot less, gender affirming people, all right, or transgender people that could say anything against that policy because it's cut and dry, right? You don't have to do it before a certain time frame or before a certain stage of life, right? You're either born this way or you're born that way. And if you're born this way, you can play. If you're born that way, you can't play. Sorry, right? Make your own tour. Wouldn't that be fun, right? the multi-gender or non-gender, or why don't we just call it the non-binary PGA, right? that I actually might watch that, right? I don't know who would sponsor it, but I might watch that, right? But anyway, so I think it's no coincidence that at the same time this policy now is going into effect, and I'm doing air quotes again, this science-based and inclusive approach, right? Said the LPGA commissioner, Molly, I can never even say her last name, Saman or whatever, right? She announced that she's leaving. Shocker, right? Shocker, right? You spent $10 million a year studying this, right? And this is what you came up with? Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was asked to leave, right? I don't, what is inclusive about it? I guess I just don't even get that, right? You're allowing a man to compete against women. How is that inclusive? It's the opposite of inclusive, right? So I think it's a mess. In fact, I know it's a mess, and I know it's not the end of the controversy, right? There's good, and it just came out today, and in doing some research for the podcast, there's 25 different stories, everything from the AP to ESPN, for crying out loud, has already got a story out on it, right? So and it's not going to stop, right? Just because it's a little bit more inclusive or it's sensitive to inclusivity, right? It's not going to stop, right? I think, right, that it would have been way better off, not to spend $10 million in a year doing whatever study. I can't even imagine what study that was, right? And it would have been way better off just to have a cut and dry policy, right? Because here's what's going to happen, right? That neutrality, if you would, or that vagueness of that policy that says, oh, before puberty, right? Look, medicine's changing every day. The community is changing all the time, right? People, if I'd have told you that we'd be even having this discussion 10 years ago, you'd have told me I'm a weirdo, right? If I had told you that there's a Supreme Court case right now that is talking of puberty blockers and when a kid can start taking puberty blockers, you said I was crazy, right? But somehow it has gotten its way into all sports, right? Not just the golf, right? All sports, but in particular the LPGA, right? A tournament that's designed solely for women, right? Is now making things, in my opinion, just worse for them, right? They even have and I'm doing air quotes again, a gender policy for competition eligibility council, right? So there's a council that you have to make your case to if you're going to play, right? I mean, it's just absolutely nuts, right? the number 12 keeps coming up. I can't confirm that or not, but if you completed the first step, and believe me, I'm no expert, but if you completed the first step before the age of 12, right, then you could play, right? Or right, or maybe it's and I shouldn't say maybe or, but I think it's and right, that you met the limitation standards for testosterone levels, right? Can you imagine? We have a testosterone level standard in women's golf, right? Do we have an estrogen standard on the PGA Tour? We should, right? With some of the craziness that I've seen out there, right, over the years, right? But it's just nuts, right? What are we doing? Right? Not only what are we doing with the LPGA, but what are we doing as a society, man? And I hate to ramble on here, and this is really not my my ballywig, for lack of a better, right? Typically, but I just couldn't take it anymore, man. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's comical, right? And we shouldn't even be talking about it, right? Women have enough problems, right, competing against themselves, just like men have enough problems competing against other men, than to put some other challenge in the mix, if you would. Can you imagine if there was another gender? Can you imagine, just think about this, that if female golfers had a distinct advantage, let's say female golfers, because they were so flexible, right? And I'm totally making this up, but let's say they were so flexible that they could hit the ball farther than men, right? And now all of a sudden you allow women on the PGA Tour. Do you think there'd be an uproar? Right? Do you think there would be a estrogen limitation or a council that you could appeal to get on the PGA Tour? There's no chance, right? There is absolutely no chance. Do you think any sponsors would sponsor any of that garbage? No chance, right? And there's a reason that LPGA sponsors are why no one's watching, by the way, and why the sponsors are leaving in droves, right? And this ain't helping the matter. Either of those matters, right? So I can only hope that someone on the LPGA or someone connected is listening, and they come to their senses. But I know that's a stretch, to say the least. But yeah, it's got to stop. I'm hoping in my lifetime, and I'm hoping way sooner than that, because I'm hoping to live to 90, right? And I'm 59 now. But I'm hoping before I turn, let's call it 62, right? So I'm hoping that 3 years from now that they reverse this trend 100%. Actually, that they continue this trend, but reverse this ruling and only allow biological females to compete against biological females. All right. More people will watch. It'll be a fairer competition. It'll eliminate the politics that accompany this crazy issue, right? It'll just be gone. And we'll get back to watching women play women in golf, right? And at the end of the day, that's really all that anybody with half a brain or any common sense wants, right? And for all you neutrality people out there and all you haters and all this, save it, right? Because I won't read a single word of your comments, and it doesn't bother me at all, because I think you're all nuts, right? This is a common issue. I don't want my daughter competing against men or boys in any sport, period, right? I don't need any other policy than that. You're born a male, okay, done. You can't play. That's it. And I know there aren't too many people that feel otherwise, right? So kind of a tangent today for sure, given what we normally talk about on the podcast, but definitely interesting. And again, like I opened the podcast with, I couldn't hold myself back any longer, man. All right, listen, that's all I got today, thankfully, for the podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to hit the button at I think it's the bottom right, to save, if you would, or to follow wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to check out ImagineGolf.com, and you can follow us on all our social media channels. We're on them all. Be sure to be on the lookout for my new book. My new book is entitled "Give Me a Break: Why Today's Golf Instruction Doesn't Work," and that'll be available in audio format. It'll be available at all bookstores and Amazon coming soon. And here's to getting you the game that you've always imagined.